Hey everyone. This is going to be a walkthrough of a use case that I have seen quite prevalent nowadays. So a lot of our users are implementing Bitscale as a backend feeder for their, like, either they want some kind of GTM research or contact information enrichment, they'll have Bitscale at the backend. Or maybe just systemize their entire GTM processes. They might already have some kind of workflow set up somewhere, and they would want Bitscale to act as a step. So if there's multiple enrichments happening in a Bitscale grid, they would want to call it remotely via an API call and then get the response back into the system, and the system flows as is, right? So there is a way, obviously, of doing this on Bitscale. And in this video, I'll just show you how you can do that. It's not that complicated. Uh, First, I'll give you some context of how the architecture looks like for this workflow. So basically, there would be a single grid, which would have all of your enrichments and the workflows that you want to implement, right? So an example of that would be maybe you have a PLG workflow, right? And as soon as a user signs up, they sign up with their personal email. What you would want to do is you would want to find out their professional email, find out some information about their company, and then all of that information should be feeded either to your application. Maybe you want to maintain some kind of knowledge base, or back into the workflow that you have set up on the backend, right? This is like one such example. In this video, I'll be showing you another one. What I have set up here is a admin panel portal that I'm creating for Bitscale only. And what I'm hoping to do is sometimes we don't have all the information surrounding an admin, and we want to avoid a lot of back and forth. I've created this little dashboard wherein I can click on fill data and I can just get everything done by a Bitscale workflow that I'll set up, right? Coming back to the architecture and how this works is we'll set up a grid with a webhook as an input. We'll set up all of the enrichments in that set grid, and we would need to push the data to a listener that is maintained on your system, or in the case of this use case, this system that I've set up for the admin panel. Now, this listener could be any kind of architecture that just consumes a webhook call, so that basically once the enrichment is done, we need to have some place to push that data, no? So for that, you would have to set up some kind of system, and a webhook listener works very well in our cases, right? So that is what we have set up here as well. I'll just show you how the grid setup aspect looks like. So I'll just head over here to Bitscale, create a new grid, and I'll select import data from webhook, right? Just click on that and I'll just create a new grid. Now this grid takes webhook as the input. So any kind of post API calls that you make to this webhook, which I'll show you in a minute, okay, that will be available as a row. So I'll just show you where you can get the webhook URL. Head to data sources, webhook, and you can copy this URL from here. Any kind of JSON payload with key value pairs that you push. Each key is implementable as a column, and the value would be the value that is being pushed in. So that is how you send data into the webhook. I'll just copy this and paste it in my app as well. Save. All right. So it has been set up. It will send the data to this webhook that I have set up. As a matter of fact, I'll just add a partner here. I'll put in Adarsh Shah, organization Bitscale. I won't put any email or LinkedIn URL, and nothing else. I think this should be good enough. All right. Or let's just put Adarsh@bitscale. Or, oh, let's just take an example of that personal thing, right? So I'll just put my personal email. Perfect. Add partner. All right. A lot of data points are empty. I'll just click on fill data. And the data will be pushed to this webhook, which we had just created. Reload. All right. The webhook is here. I'll just add all of these values as a column. The received at value is something that we maintain on Bitscale end. You can implement this if you want, but if you don't want to, you don't have to, right? The next step is obviously what we want to do. So for example, I have the email here and it's the personal email and I want to find the LinkedIn URL, right? From here. So I'll just go to enrichment and find LinkedIn using personal email. Personal email goes here, save. I'll just run this. Oh, profile is found. So first, add that as a column. Now, all of this information I want to send to a listener. So I do have a listener set up here. So here's the listener I've set up. It's a basic webhook URL, very honestly. So we'll just push the data to this and with the JSON payload of the values that I want to push, and that should handle everything. Now, how I'm handling the concurrency of leads or these partners is I'm maintaining a partner ID, right? So any data that I push against a partner ID, it will be updated against that specific partner. Now you can implement something similar, or you can have separate API call instances for every time your workflow runs. That is completely on your onus, right? So I'll just set this up quickly. For that, just head back over to the grid, go to add column, add enrichment, data toolkit, and here you'll have an option to push data to an HTTP API, endpoint. So we'll just click on that. The method would be post. I'll just paste the endpoint URL. All right, I've pasted the endpoint URL. And now you can push data in two ways. If you are consuming any kind of complex JSON values, in those cases, just set up a custom JSON here. But in most cases, you will be just sending key value pairs. So just do that essentially. I'll just see what kind of key is against the LinkedIn URL. Okay, it's just LinkedIn. So we'll just write that here. And in the columns, I'll just tag the information that I had pulled here, right? So LinkedIn URL. We'll copy the variable for the partner ID. Come back here, another key, paste that here, and we'll tag the partner ID itself. Save, we'll run. And it's successful. And if we head back over to the portal that I had set up just to verify this, if I click on this edit button, yeah, the LinkedIn has been updated. Perfect. So that is how this works. Fairly simple. So the listening architecture you would have to set up on your end so that you can get the data after the enrichment. And once everything is done and you set up the workflow, another thing that you would have to do is head back over to the grid that you have set up and click on auto run grid, right? This way, the entire enrichment will run automatically for any entry that you set up. So I'll just pick another entry just to show you how that works. I'll come over here. I think I have a few samples, or I'll just maybe run the same one once again, right? So I'll just click on fill data. Request has sent to webhook. I head back over to the grid. All right, the entry comes automatically, the enrichment is done automatically, and the information is pushed back to the listener automatically. So now this is an end-to-end solution. Now, whatever further steps that you want to add to this workflow, any specific enrichment that you want to add to this workflow, you can do so. It will be maintained in this grid itself, and you can just push that back to your listener. And this can act as an artifact of sorts. So yeah, this is how you can implement that. If you have any questions surrounding this, do reach out to us on our support channel. Would love to help you out. All right, cheers. Bye.